Hi everyone, welcome to the Data Scientist podcast. I'm very happy to be here with Michael Kelly. Hi Michael.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
And would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a few things about what you do and what you're working on at the moment?
Sure. So about myself, I've taught courses at Baruch College in regards to applied data science and machine learning and Python for a little bit over a year. Finishing up a double master's, one degree at Indiana in entrepreneurship. I'm also at the Wharton School of Business and their Stone Year program. It's essentially CFO, CEO training in regards to banking. Outside of that, we own a management consulting practice. So we take a step back, we're objective consulting without compromise, no strategic ties to vendors. We really just do business-driven strategic growth and technology enablement. So in regards to technology enablement, it could be automation with big data architecture, Python programming, or Jira. Business-driven is more subject matter expertise in regards to capital markets, front, middle, back office banking. And in regards to strategic growth, that's largely in part of email automation, like growing your LinkedIn audience programmatically, and or email automation. And in regards to email automation, we've even found that 8 follow-ups actually gets you more responses. And some people could view that to be a bit too aggressive, but sometimes that's what it takes. I want to learn a little bit more about you too.
Cool. And I know that recently you participated as a keynote speaker in a crypto conference, and I was really looking forward to hearing some of your insights from there and maybe your commentary on the current state of the crypto market and the blockchain sector.
Yeah, before we preface this, these are just my own personal views and are not the views of any of Investment Science's customers, inclusive of banks or anything. So just, and this is not financial advice. So please talk to a CPA and or financial advisor. This is just an educational conversation. But yes, in regards to cryptocurrencies, right? I'm known to be the bear. While I understand why people like it, I view it as just a construct somebody created, and everybody goes up to me like blockchain, and it's more secure. And I'm like, great. Why don't we fix the password issue? Because right now, if I lose my password on any type of system, I can recover it. As blockchain, if I lose my password, I have to print out all these receipts and it's a project. So I think there could be some use cases for it, but I still don't think it's where it needs to be. And in regards to crypto, I was raising the siren bells with venture capitalists. Every venture capitalist we spoke with back in last year, they kept saying, if it's not crypto, I'm not doing it. So remember in capital markets, when everybody's talking about it, do the opposite. Every single person you talk to keeps talking about crypto. And I said, it's probably going back in November, going to crash. And I wrote a controversial post saying, is there even a future for crypto? And many people I talk to say, okay, well, some type of currencies will go down to zero. Not all of them, but then you argue, is even Bitcoin too volatile to even be considered a currency? But we take another step back, and I also want to know what you think. I don't want to be the one talking the whole time. We take another step back, right? It's the amount, the price of it shot up, and it's been shooting down as of today, and it will continue to go down because interest rates are rising, right? Because of all the inflation and the very fact it's not backed by anything. And there's some coins that come out that they claim they're backed by things. There's Web 3.0 and all these things, but
do you think this is a problem, or do you think that we've reached the state of maturity in the crypto market that the fact that they're not backed by anything, it's not a problem for all coins? It might be for certain coins, that because there are some voices that say, yeah, BTC is volatile, but it has started to become a little bit like gold in the sense that there's too much faith and investments flowing into it. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, there's actually studies that like Bitcoin itself is levered 5 times Amazon. the correlation amongst it. So if you look at the Amazon stock and you look at Bitcoin, it moves 5 times the volume of it. Meaning if, let's say Amazon's up $1, Bitcoin will go up about 5. So I just think people dove into it. They didn't even understand what it means. I know Warren Buffett's crew, they're not a fan. I don't want to speak for every banker, but many bankers aren't the biggest fans of it. But it's also the opposite of centralized banking. It's decentralized. They're supposed to say, well, the fiat currency, but then I'm saying, aren't you a fiat currency? Because you're not backed by anything. At least the US dollar is backed by the US military or things like that. And centralization, the government's already talking about, most recently adding it under the CFTC regulations, not to mention the amount of money laundering that goes on through it. So I think the very future of it is many of those coins will go down to zero because they're backed by nothing. It's pure speculation. And if people like it, I respect it, but I don't see the value in it. And a lot of these venture capitalists, unfortunately, I've told them back in November and they saw it differently, but hopefully they're seeing the light now. I said, every single one of you I talk to, you keep saying, if it's not crypto, I'm not doing it. So there's nothing differentiating it. If you have an asset class, even real estate, it's an investment, and crypto is just its own construct. But the very future state of it is probably the US government creating their own digital currency at some point in time. And maybe the remnants of blockchain, when they fix the password issue, is probably a use case for it, but we're not ready for prime time. I guess the human mind just likes new things, or I have to call them buzzwords. People say big data, AI, crypto, blockchain, Web 3.0, metaverse. And I'm like, none of those things matter. What's your business opportunity? What's the revenue you could foresee with it? What's the cost? Because in my artificial intelligence course I teach the students that you not only need to be able to articulate the best data science model, but you need to pick your market. You need to be able to sell it, because there's use cases of even, or case studies of IBM Watson, brilliant engineers, and they lost a ton of money. Who's the customer? So remove all this technology, remove even crypto. Let's say it's for an investment purpose. There's studies, most investments move together. And you're seeing it now, like almost everything crashes at the same time because of ETFs, right? And there's even ETFs that have crypto in them. So I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of people that you can't speak for everybody, but it's a lot of speculation. And you study the Dutch tulip bubble, it's quite similar to where crypto's been going, and there's no place to go but zero in the long term with some remnants remaining.
So I take it that you're not a big fan of the metaverse. It seems to be the last, let's say, hype just right before this bear market. I have my own reservations as to whether the metaverse hype is going to last in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't know what's your take on this.
That's been out for years, even the metaverse, like even like video games. There was software like Habbo Hotel, and when my sister was playing it when I was a kid. Like, metaverse is not new. Like I said, I think people become bored and they think of the latest thing to hop on, or people don't want to miss out, but it's not negative. People like to learn new things, but I think all these things are hype trains, and it's statistics. As you teach data science, it's called reversion to the mean. When prices get out of whack, which they did with crypto, they're going to go back to the average. And when something's backed by nothing, the price of it is intrinsic value of zero.
And given that you've done lots of work in data science, do you think, I mean, I get this asked a lot, but I'm curious to get your opinion on that. Do you think that data science has a role to play in blockchain, like a major role? I'm not just talking about analyzing blocks to find things like money laundering, this sort of thing, but like something more major, like we've seen data science being applied very successfully in supply chains, in consumer-facing industries for things like predicting demand, optimizing operations, and not to mention computer vision and all that. So what's your take on that? Or do you think it might play maybe more of a support role in certain projects, and that's just about it?
Well, Okay, companies are seeking to curb costs, right? And with COVID, everybody being remote, the barriers to entry to even employment and the internet and YouTube and Wikipedia. Um, we even learned data science all the way back in 2008 just by reading white papers before there was source code. So always stay 10 years ahead of the trend. And it is, data science is the future, but we still have to take a step back and say, what's the business case? Right? Because you're selling it to probably a CEO, a CFO.
Mhm.
And I've worked with organizations actually struggling. They build a very interesting data science component, but then they can't articulate, why do we need this? So start with, why do we need it? How much does it cost? What's the revenue associated to it? And then we dive into the technology, but even technology is moving into no code programming. Like there's software out there that we use, like Retool. And then with the AI and machine learning, I tell people, well, first of all, do you have enough data? Do you even have the proper hardware? Right? Those are all prerequisites. And then sometimes I'm seeing organizations using like Java with Apache Spark, but I'm saying one use case for Apache Spark or Flink, it converts it to the JVM. So use a programming language like Python to get there. So yes, there is a future for it. Yes, blockchain has a future when they fix the password issue. And use cases for AI today, you know, Netflix looks at what other movies do you like? Amazon does it, but it's still in the elementary stages in financial services outside of text data. With time series data, I've been on engagements, I've seen data scientists struggle because it's such a, but now we even get into statistics of even the stock market, and most people know this, it's not normally distributed, but we have all the distributions of every stock or every financial instrument. What does that mean with how we measure risk? Because if we talk about things like beta, that first, the prerequisite's a normal distribution, but if it's not normally distributed, what model do we use and why?
That's a common fallacy, right? I think sometimes the returns are not normally distributed, especially in the crypto market.
Yeah.
Also, volatility, I don't think it's the same as risk, in the sense that volatility can be objectively measured, but risk also includes a component of qualitative and subjective assessment. So, for example, we can all agree that Bitcoin is volatile, but if my personal assessment is that Bitcoin within a 10-year span is going to go up from its current price, then I could say that you know, I'm investing my money in a very low risk instrument. If that's my definition of risk, that's what I'm trying to get out of my investment. And likewise, I think you can have investments which have high volatility, and maybe they have, you know, not much, not very high return, because some of this volatility might be, you know, the downside, and vice versa. You have some investments with where you can get potentially a 10x or 20x, but you know, there's a downside, but it's not as big. I remember Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his books talking about this and how essentially his investment strategy was around these long tail effects.
Yeah, well, even like crypto is almost like options contracts. It's like a razor blade.
Yeah,
like it could cut your throat and you could lose all of your money, right? If you don't manage it right. Again, I'm not a registered financial advisor, although we have a product we're launching to manage capital that will be available to the consumer markets probably in about another 6 months, and will be registered with the proper legal credentials. I caution people that dive into crypto. I'm like, don't put more than 2% of your capital into it. It's so volatile. And I've talked to people, they run up to me, well, I'm up and number of percent. I'm like, yeah, but you have every dollar in crypto, and then now that it's crashing, they're losing it. People need a solid financial understanding of how capital markets work and risk management, to your point. If you get more advanced, you could talk about Monte Carlo simulations, value at risk, you know, just basic things like stop losses, or if you're doing options, derivative instruments should really only be about like 5% of the portfolio. Some people put 10%, you can blow up your whole portfolio. So every little thing is almost like moderation in all things, and prices move back to the average.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So any closing remarks, like before we go, where people can learn more about you? LinkedIn, personal website, company website?
Yeah, so if they wanted to work with us, they could go to investmentscy.com or just look me up, Michael Kelly, Investment Science. And it was a pleasure to meet you. And thank you so much for having us on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So thanks, everyone, for being here with us. Make sure to go to the datascientist.com for more content on data science, AI, and blockchain. Thank you, and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.